We've got a problem. America's broken election system is tearing our country apart. So, in 2020, our organization brought together grassroots Republicans, Democrats, and independents to pass a law in our city fixing the problem. The solution is called approval voting, or pick all you like, find where we agree. It's older than you think. It encourages our leaders to find common ground and actually solve problems. Today, I'll tell you about the problem, how we discovered a solution, and how you can help it spread so that together we can save this republic. Now, the best way I know how to describe the situation, believe it or not, is with pizza. It's America. Every Sunday night, my family would order an extra large pizza. Sometimes I joke that the reason I'm obsessed with building bridges across partisan divides is because my parents fought a lot. So when I hear people arguing, I think, can't we get along? Can't we meet each other halfway? But despite our disagreements, it wasn't hard to order a pizza. Because when you pick toppings, you don't argue over how your favorite topping is anchovies, but your admittedly much cuter sister loves pineapple. Instead, if you both like mushrooms, you order mushrooms. What would it look like if all of you listening to this talk were to vote for toppings the way you vote for Congress in primary and general elections? You'd be limited to picking just one option. So the results would look something like this pie graph. The vast majority of you would split the vote between different meats, veggies, and mushrooms. So the 24% of radical pineapple extremists got more votes than any other topping. We would need to order pineapple pizza for the entire room. Well, that can't be right. That's because that's not the way you actually order pizza. You name a few toppings you like and order the one you can agree on. Approval voting. That's why when 6,000 Americans were surveyed on their favorite toppings by YouGov, they were allowed to select all the toppings they liked. A majority agreed. Everything was more popular than we thought, even pineapple. We already know how to make decisions and vote as groups to solve a real problem. You've used this voting method hundreds of times. Anytime you've filled out a survey, coordinated a time to meet, or an activity to do with a group. You throw in a few options you like and see which one has the most support. It's called pick all you like, and you can remember P-A-Y-L, like put all the toppings you like in a pail. Put all the options you like in a pail. The academic term for pick all you like is approval voting, and it's been used across the world for hundreds of years. Many school board races already let you select multiple candidates, and the winners are the ones who get the most votes. Where has approval voting been used? Greece, Fargo, North Dakota, the United Nations, the College of Cardinals to elect the Pope. The list goes on and on. So what do the nerds think? Does the math add up? I'm happy to report that the American Mathematical and Statistical Associations both use approval voting to elect their leaders. Our best and brightest use approval voting. So, if a system where you're limited to picking just one isn't good enough for ordering pizza, why would we use it in government? Is this an outdated part of the Constitution? No. The Constitution lets states decide how we run our elections. No one designed this. Like a lot of government paperwork, it's just the way we started doing it and never really thought about it. This limit on our freedom to pick just one isn't a feature, it's a bug. Have you ever looked at the choices on your ballot and thought, wow, how did we get here? It happens at every level of government. Let's look at how pick one voting plays out in party primaries for Congress. This year alone, 135 candidates for Congress were nominated without a majority in their own party. A lot of the time it was with 35% or less. So forget arguing between different parties. Our candidates aren't supported by their own party. This is the political version of pineapple pizza, guys. And in St. Louis, Missouri, residents were living through a microcosm of this. St. Louis has everything you want in a big city, but it also has the same problems as other cities. The number of murders was going up. People without homes were dying on freezing winter nights. This was especially frustrating because St. Louis isn't huge, so these problems should be fixable. But our governments aren't working because they're set up to fail. For example, in St. Louis, the mayor had been elected with 32% of the vote in the primary. The president of city council with only 35%. They didn't have a mandate to govern. They were perceived as weak. So our leaders were sniping at each other, playing games, just getting ready for the next election where they would try to beat each other with their own little political faction. Does this sound familiar? Is this why people hate politics? So we strategized with national experts, local election administrators, and community leaders and came up with a solution. At first, we planned on ranked choice voting, also known as instant runoff voting. But then we discovered that any runoff system where you're still limited to voting for only one candidate at a time per round still splits the vote and often eliminates the most popular candidates before they can get to the runoff. This has happened in Alaska, Vermont, and Louisiana, where voters were left with two such unpopular options, people literally printed bumper stickers saying, "Vote for the crook." Now, there's no perfect voting system. No voting method can even guarantee a true majority 100% of the time. But while runoff systems may be an improvement in some circumstances, they're also really convoluted and expensive, which brings me to the critical issue of trust. At a time when many people already doubt the integrity of our elections, do we want a system to inspire more confidence or less? But then we heard a podcast featuring Aaron Hamlin, who runs a national election research organization. Aaron is a huge nerd, and we found out actually likes pineapple pizza. But we looked past this fact, and we learned about approval voting, which we realized we use all the time in the private sector. Pick all the candidates you like, whoever gets the most votes wins. Simple and effective. It's already compatible with every election machine and system in America because many school board races already let you select multiple candidates with the winner chosen with the same method. Simple, effective, and free. The choice was clear. It explained why Fargo, North Dakota had also adopted approval voting. Their candidates were winning with only 20% of the vote, and people were understandably unhappy. So a city commission recommended approval voting. Now their leaders are elected with broad support and accountability. Great. We had an answer. We loved approval voting. How are we going to make it happen? You, like many people, probably think that changing the whole political system is not possible. I'm here to tell you that change is possible, and we used a tried and true method. In Missouri, North Dakota, and about 20 other states, we have the power of the Citizen Ballot Initiative to reform government when it gets out of hand. You write a policy, gather enough signatures from registered voters, and it goes on the ballot. In Missouri, the ballot initiative process has been used for 115 years to keep taxes reasonable and limit corruption in government. In this case, though, we would have to gather 10,000 valid signatures from voters. And that wouldn't be easy. But we started anyway. For a year, we gathered signatures in parks on hot summer days, and we went door to door in the freezing cold. I was smiling, but I could not feel my toes. We gathered 20,000 signatures, double the number required to place it on the ballot. Polls showed that huge majorities of Republicans, Democrats, and independents all wanted approval voting. And on election night, 68% of St. Louisans voted for approval voting. We won. Four months later, St. Louis held its first elections under the new system,
creating what's expected to be the first competitive general election the city has seen in decades.
It was the first time the city allowed voters to pick more than one candidate, and the data shows many did.
As the approval results came in on election night, the system had worked exactly as we had hoped. At the previous election, the top candidates received less than a third of the vote. But now, with approval voting, the top candidates got 57% and 46%. Yes, it equaled more than 100% because many people agreed on several options. It also led to several reform challengers winning seats at city council because now they had a fair shot to run and win without splitting the vote. And voters had a fair shot to hold leaders accountable without splitting the vote. The amazing thing about approval voting is it benefits everyone. This isn't about helping any political candidate or party. As you can see, the numbers can go up for everyone because now you can vote for more than one. So instead of having to pick between Republican or Democrat, libertarian or vegetarian, you can vote for two or three. But more importantly, it changes incentives in government. In a pick-one system, if elected officials try to work together and solve problems through compromise, they're punished at the next election as a traitor to that tiny slice of the primary vote they depended on to win. Have you ever looked at an issue where you know 70% of people can agree with you on a solution? Why is that problem not getting solved? Because there's some tiny ideological faction or special interest group that likes the status quo or demands 100% loyalty to their talking points or else. And if our leaders don't solve problems, well, great. They can just keep raising money, blaming the other side, and winning re-election. A pick-one system disincentivizes our leaders from solving problems. How perverse is that? It's a winning strategy to simply trash your opposition so you can be the lesser of the evils. And if you, as a voter, have a favorite candidate, but they don't have millions of dollars or establishment support, you might vote for a candidate you like less because you don't want to throw away your one precious vote. America's best and brightest want no part of such a toxic, dysfunctional system. But now, with approval voting, our leaders are free to solve problems, and they're rewarded when they do. In St. Louis's approval voting primary, politicians wanted to pick up votes from other candidate supporters as well to increase their approval rating so they didn't attack each other. Now, you can vote for the best ideas, not just the biggest bank account, because you are free to vote for all the candidates you honestly approve of. Now, America's best and brightest can throw their hat in the ring, campaign, and govern in an environment of innovation, collaboration, and actually solving problems. For example, let's look at violent crime. Cities across America are using the same old, tired approaches that don't actually prevent it. Murders are going up. But thanks to approval voting in St. Louis, we have a legislative majority and executive who are incentivized to innovate and try new things because their political lives depend on actually solving problems. So we have new collaborations between police, social workers, and community organizations working together. As murders continued to rise across the rest of the United States, from 2020 to 2021, St. Louis saw a 25% decrease in murder. Our city needed accountability, and we got it. Things are not perfect, but they're a heck of a lot better than they were before. Everyone knows that the people who won the last election won fairly and transparently. So whether they like each other or not, they've got to work together to solve problems. And we can make this happen across America, from City Hall to the Capitol and the White House, because we can ask our leaders to put approval voting on our ballots. And failing that, we can gather the signatures to do it ourselves. Like the car perfected in Michigan or the Wright brothers born in Ohio, this innovation is taking off from America's heartland, from North Dakota, from Missouri, because of regular people who just want a functioning, accountable government. When I was yeah, you said it. When I was 8 years old, and my parents would fight, I would think, can we stop yelling at each other? Can we get along? Can we focus on what we agree on and the fact that we love each other and have a family together? That's how I feel about America. Our country, our family needs healing. Fighting over the same issues for decades and focusing on what divides us instead of what unites us doesn't help anyone except those who profit off of anger and division. The story of America is that if we work together and are open to new ideas, we accomplish great things. The airplane, the internet, modern democracy. Approval voting brings us together and encourages our leaders to find common ground to solve critical problems. So friends, pick all you like and find where we agree. Let's order some delicious pizza, run some ballot initiatives, and save our republic.